When we go to a museum or a gallery, we're used to seeing paintings hanging on the wall and sculpture on stands. For artists who make this type of artwork, this is a good way to display their work. But some artists feel that traditional ways of making art are restrictive, and they've looked for new ways to express their ideas. This searching for new ways of expression started around the end of the 19th century or so, and was part of a period in history we now call Modernism. During this time, some artists began experimenting with using everyday objects in their art. They felt this made their art relate to real life in a more direct way. Eventually, a German artist named Kurt Schwitters decided that there should be no separation between life and art, and so he built a house where the house itself was a work of art. He called this house Merzbau. Everything in Merzbau was part of the artwork. Changing an entire space to create an artwork was an idea that caught on. Rather than making drawings, paintings, or traditional sculpture, some artists began using found objects, or making objects that would occupy an entire space. But the objects were not the art. The transformation of the space was the art. Artists installed these objects in a space, and this style of artwork became known as installation art. This also meant the viewers of the art would experience it differently. That's what these artists wanted. Rather than passively viewing art hanging on walls, viewers would actually be inside the art. Some installation artists include light, sound, touch, or even living things in their work. By changing the space, artists create an experience that often includes all of the viewer's senses. Many contemporary artists continue to make installations. Pepón Osario is an artist from Puerto Rico. Before he became an artist, he was a social worker in New York. That experience influenced the way he approaches his art. He wants to return art to the community, and many of his installations are made in public places, like department stores. Osario is interested in portraying the life of the Latino community, and many of the objects in his installations come from his Latino culture. Yayoi Kusama is considered one of Japan's most important living artists. She was born in 1929, and at age 89 is still making art. As a child, Kusama suffered from hallucinations where she saw flashes of light and fields of dots. She's always been interested in the idea of merging the self with the whole of the universe, which she feels the dots represent. Much of her work uses dots and patterns to envelop the viewer. She also creates what she calls her infinity rooms, which use light and mirrors to create the feeling of infinity. The son of a well-known Korean painter, Ho Suh, originally attended Seoul National University to study Oriental painting. He later moved to the United States to study art. Developing as an artist in two distinct cultures comes through in Suh's work. Feeling nostalgic for his home in Korea and not being able to bring his actual house to New York, Suh began making cloth reproductions of Korean architecture. These reproductions fill large spaces and usually hang from the ceiling, which gives the viewer a unique perspective. Weiwei was also the son of a famous father, the well-known poet Ai Qing. Like Suh, Ai is interested in the contrast between traditional and modern Chinese life. He has used objects that have been used for generations by Chinese families to create his installations. In 2010, Ai Weiwei worked with ceramic artists in the city of Jingdezhen, which is famous for its Chinese porcelain, to create millions of ceramic sunflower seeds. He installed these sunflower seeds at the Tate Modern Museum in London. The seeds beg the question, what does it mean to be an individual in today's society? He has also made an installation out of the discarded clothing from a Syrian refugee camp to bring attention to the worldwide refugee crisis. Born in Lima, Ohio, Anne Hamilton studied textile design in college. She went on to study sculpture in graduate school, and much of her work shows a relationship between the two. Hamilton often uses cloth and sewing to create elements for her installations. Often her work is inspired by the history of an individual place, weaving together history, story, and present times. Her work, The Event of a Thread, invited visitors to ride on a series of swings, which moved a giant curtain and made the installation change over time. James Turrell received his college degree in perceptual psychology. When he decided to become an artist, this interest in perception played a big role in his work. Terrell is known for working with light and space. He creates spaces where our perception is both challenged and changed. He often uses the changes in light throughout the day, which means that at any given moment, his art is new. His most ambitious work, a work in progress, is called The Rodin Crater, where he's changing a crater on his ranch in Arizona into an artwork that uses sky and space as an important element. Using unconventional means, these 6 artists use all the elements of a given space to immerse the viewer in their art.